Alright, so we're going to do a little bit of a review. Okay, so first we're going to talk about imagination and creativity on a broader scale. So imagination is the inner workings of the brain and the processes necessary to carry out creativity. So imagination is what goes on the cellular level, and creativity is what happens as a result of that. The respective roles is what I just explained, and the importance is tremendous because without creativity we would not have developed as a society, we would not scientifically developed, culturally, anything of that nature, and so it's a really integral part of who we are today and our past and our future. Okay, so we talk about imagination on the cellular level, and one of the things that we talked about was the cell assembly, which is the major belief of how imagination works at the moment, and that's based on the perception that occurs, and then the neurons that form that mental picture will then be called upon again when imagination kicks in and wants to view that object. Now, the significance of memory is really important, and that plays into the perception, which is what I just talked about. So when you see the object and you put it into your memory, especially when you put it into the long-term memory, when you put it into the long-term memory and you try to call upon it again for imagination, you don't call upon the memory as it was exactly. You call it, or the way that your imagination works is it takes little pieces from different memories and builds up something new. So, like the analogy I used earlier, just like Legos, you take different chunks from different places and build them into one new place, one new scenario, one new idea. And then the last thing here is the default network, and that is the neural network that is involved in imagination and memory, and that includes the medial temporal and frontal lobes, the posterior cingulate and retrosplenial cortex, and the lateral parietal and temporal areas. And then in addition to the ones that are used for both imagination and memory, there are also the frontotemporal regions and the hippocampus, which are especially engaged when imagination is used. Okay, next we're going to talk about behavioral, and that is how the brain. So we just talked about imagination on a cellular level, and this is how those cellular connections and those neural networks are manifested into creativity. And creativity is imagination at work. And so, like I said earlier, creativity is a really important part of society and who we are as a people today. And it's a naturally occurring function of the brain and of the body, and it allows us to predict the future in both a practical and impractical way. And what I mean by that is creativity can be used for either daydreaming or working on maybe some big project that you need some creative element to. So it works both ways. It's both fun and practical. And then different ways that you can improve your creativity is through exercise, music, daydreaming, and positivity. And these all affect creativity positively because they allow for more positive chemicals and therefore more increased amount of brain activity. So because your brain is more engaged, it's able to be more involved and carry out, creatively better. And then, like I talked about, it's really important to society and innovation, and as we keep growing, in the future, it'll help to develop new technologies, and who knows what somebody will think of next, right? That's always the saying that we hear people say. But, I mean, who knows what someone's imagination will conjure up and develop in the future. So, that's the end of my presentation. I hope that you guys learned a lot.